Hi, guys, gals, theys, thems, whatever you want to call yourself. Hello, how you doing? Welcome to the Voices in Our Heads. Congratulations on not killing yourself, guys, because, wow, it's a lot. It's a lot happening. People getting shot. I mean, that's been happening for a while, but I was in Europe, for 10 glorious days. And I'm going to talk about more about that next week because I want to keep these memories to myself for like a little bit. But boy, I love French people. They're so rude. Oh, I love it. There's so many times where we were in France or Belgium where they speak French, and I would just go up to a coffee shop and be like, can I have a grande latte? And they're like, whoa, 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 bitch. I don't speak that language. And at first I was like, that's fucking rude. But then eventually I was like, nah, I like that. You're cool as hell. But yeah, we were in Europe when we found out the assassination attempt, and I was like, damn, doggy. Damn. You know my segment that I have, angels and psychedelics, powers and aliens and ghosts or whatever. I'm going to call it something different every week. But there was a diagram of how Trump turned his head, and if he didn't turn his head in that moment, his brains would have been pachoo. And that guy's got some fucking angels on his side or something. I'm like, how whatever theories you think it was planned. Hey, that could be true. I don't know. I did add my 2 cents because the second it happened, I'm like, this seems planned. That if you graze an ear, that's like a sniper who can shoot the cup out of your hand. But then I saw a picture of the kid who did it. I'm like, that guy's not good at shooting. So yeah. It's just that Trump has some people on the other side working for him. And to those people, I say, work harder. You know, you're not doing a great job on his like mental abilities. Yeah, it's just nuts. And Europe is chef's kiss. I love it. I love going to a different country that I've never seen before because every moment is enriching. You know, you're just like, what do cars do here? You got fried eggs? Are they a little different? They're a little different because it's Europe. It's so cool. I miss it. I miss it so much. Yeah, that shooter really put the ass in assassination. That you can't have an assassination without ass nation. Remember that forever. I made that one up. That was not something I stole from the internet.
Deep.
Thank you so much. One thing though that pissed me off is Tenacious D. Tenacious D is fantastic. Jack Black, Kyle Gass is a duo. Jack Black is one of the most incredible. He's such a good performer, an amazing singer. I've seen them live. They're amazing. But on a show in some country, Jack asked on stage, hey, Kyle, if you could wish for anything, what would it be? And he said, I wish the shooter didn't miss, something to that effect. And then Jack canceled the tour. I'm like, bro, all you got to do is go, hey, that was fucked up that I said that. I was just caught up in the moment and I was being silly. And then I realized the repercussions of what I said. I'm really sorry. Don't cancel the tour, you fuck. Come on. I thought you were better than that. I lost respect for Jack Black for doing that, but I still respect him a lot. So it's okay. I'll probably forget about it next week and I'll be on to something else and I won't care. But yeah, and there's this thing about, well, I added my 2 little cents about the assassination because I'm like, obviously people want to know what I think about it. And so just in case I'm right, you know what I mean? Because if I happen to be right, I'm going to look back on that tweet and I'm going to go, have some more confidence, KRYSTYNA, in your thoughts, okay? But it feels weird, you know, when you express an opinion on the internet. Obviously, it feels like when people attack you for it. But it also kind of feels gross when people are like, yay, that's what I think too. That feels gross. Like that's why I hesitate often to express my opinion on certain hot button issues. And I just talk about ghosts and aliens and psychic powers because it feels like, that's not why I'm doing it. I'm not, if I post a hot picture on my Instagram and you're like, wow, it's hot. Yes, thank you. That's why I posted it. Seeking attention, okay? That's why I posted it. I know what I'm doing. I'm a woman in the world. Come on. But if I express an opinion and the people that agree, not everybody, but sometimes they're like, thank you so much, girl, for speaking up. And oftentimes that just feels like, ugh, like that's not why I'm doing it either. You know what I mean? I don't know what the solution is to that. Maybe it's just shut the fuck up, but I never will because I can't stop talking. Did you guys have a good 4th of July? Yeah, I did. I was going to have a party at my place, but I canceled it because the elevators in my building are atrocious. 4th of July is a very trafficy Oh, I have an update from yesterday that includes 30 fire trucks. I'll get to that in a minute. Okay. They're gonna owe me money at this point. But I canceled the party because last year on the 4th of July, elevators stopped working. People had to get pried out by firefighters. I'm like, ugh, okay. So I canceled it. But then I didn't realize this. The fireworks that are always on the East River that I live right on, they were on the fucking Hudson. And so I was like, well, how upset. I would have been so devastated if I spent money on groceries and party favors. It's my friends, so I'll be happy to hang out with them. But like 4th of July, you want to see the fireworks, okay? And you couldn't, I was looking out my window and I was like, oh, maybe I'll see them from above the buildings on the other side. That's not how height works. That's not how, the angles, I misjudged. So I was putting my little meditation cushion in my window, looking over through Jersey, through 42nd Street. I'm like, well, I'll see the fireworks from over there. Didn't see a goddamn thing. I saw that maybe there was like a heat lightning storm in the distance. That's what it looked like. I'm like, well, I'm glad I didn't have a party. What a bummer. And then the next day I fucking went to Europe. Amsterdam. That's a good city. That's a good city. Ugh, we did so many. It's so good. I'll share about it next week. So building update. Yo, this is, my brother is in town with my nephew and his girlfriend, and they came into town before I got back from Europe, and they're staying at my place. I'm staying at my boyfriend's place, who's a block away. And so there was supposed to be a day in between so I could just decompress, but there wasn't, and that's fine. But I had to really quell my I need to be alone for 2 seconds rage. But I love my brother, so I'm so happy they're here. And so yesterday I was walking from Colin's apartment to mine, and my brother texts me. He goes, "Hey Nina, there's like 20 fire trucks outside your building and we smell smoke." I'm like, "Oh, cute." So as I'm walking, there's fire trucks. The 2-block radius surrounding my building was filled with fire trucks. One of the fire guys had a table set up with water. I'm like, oh, it's like that? We're setting up a little camp because that's whatever's going on here is that serious? God damn. So I walked up to, I'm going to say it was the fire chief, but it's just Officer Handsome. Officer? No, you don't call a firefighter officer. What do you call him? Firefighter guy?
Nothing. Yeah, you
just call him sexy.
Mr. Hanson?
Yeah,
Hanson?
you say, "Hey, sir, can you answer a question for me?" So I went up to the guy and I said, "Hey, I live in that building that you guys are in right now. What's happening?" And he said a dryer vent was clogged, which is building negligence because it's supposed to unclog it. And there was a fire that happened and the smoke just plumed all throughout the building and the sprinklers went off. It was fucking crazy. But then the firefighter said, "Yeah, my guys went up to go to where the fire was because it was away from the elevators. I thought you were supposed to take the stairs, but whatever. Maybe they were tired. But they took the elevator. They got stuck in the fucking elevators."
The firefighters got stuck in the elevators?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Yeah. And I go, "Yo, word?" And then I asked, I said, is it public record if I want to look up or get like info on all the times you've been called to this address for the purposes of prying people out of the building or out of the elevators? And he said, yeah. He gave me the phone number and I was like, "Thanks, handsome." And then so I'm going to call him later. But and then this is another thing. The staff in my building, fantastic people. Lovely, kind, compassionate. When I had that massive panic attack, they looked very scared. I don't even know if they've ever seen anybody panic that hard. But it was a lot going on, okay? So I love them. And my building sent an email and they fucking lied and said it was an electrical issue and it was just smoke and there was no fire. But guess what, baby? One of the doormen in my building, who I love so much, he's quitting. He's only got 2 more days on the job because he said, "This place is a shit show." And he gave me all this ammo. I go, "They sent an email that said this was electric and it wasn't a fire. But I talked to the fire chief, Officer Handsome, and he said there is a fire." And then my brother was on the elevator with the resident who lived on the floor that the fire happened. And he goes, "Yep, it was a fire," because it was my apartment that there's fire in the dryer vent. The building sent out an email saying it was electric. So I went up to the doorman and I was like, "Yo, what the fuck is this shit? Are they lying?" And he saw the email. He's like, yeah. "So you're lying to me, bitch." Now we're going to have a problem. We've had a problem for a while, but now we're going to have I ain't paying rent. Fuck you. It's awful. And everyone in the building, they're so pissed. All the residents are so pissed. But I got to gather people together. I'm going to slip pieces of paper under everyone's door. I'm like, "Are you tired of this shit? Well, me too. Email me and we're going to band together and not pay rent." See what happens. See what happens. I basically live in a 26th floor walk up. And my brother was like, I tried, because they left the dog upstairs. My brother's girlfriend has a dog. And she was in the apartment. They went down. They're like, is that smoke? And then when they got off the elevator, there was a bunch of firefighters waiting to get in. And I was like, oh, wish I was there. But then she goes, well, I got to go back up and get the dog. If that was me and Kevin was up there, hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your husband, hide from me. So my brother went to go up the stairs and I made it to the 10th floor and I was like, nope. And I went back down. And then Laura figured out a way. They let her on the elevator. I don't know how, but they did. So she got the dog out okay. But there was smoke in my building. And then the floors, the hallways on my floor, 26th floor, were all flooded because of the sprinklers. It was crazy. It was crazy. So if you know a lawyer, that'll help me sue. And then I'll make really cool art out of all the money. Okay? And then I'll get facials. And then I'll get my nails done. Cute. Okay, what else? That was crazy. That was crazy. Do you guys know that there is a product on the market that's a Hummingbird helmet? Okay? It's a Hummingbird helmet. What? How am I just knowing about this? Then now I wanted a house in the woods for so long so I could hug goats in the forest with my tits out. Now I want a house in the forest and I want a porch and I want 2 Hummingbird helmets and I'm going to invite my girlfriends over and we're both going to wear Hummingbird helmets. We're going to have our titties out because why not? Who cares? You're in nature, right? Get those nips in that nature air, baby. And we're going to put our Hummingbird helmets on. There's like a plastic shield, and on that plastic shield there's a little flower, much like the hummingbird feeders you would hang on a tree. And the hummingbirds come up to you face to face, eye to eye, spirit to spirit, and they drink their sugar water from your Hummingbird helmet. What the fuck? I want to invest in that. I'll buy them all. I want a house in the woods so bad. So all I want is a Hummingbird helmet. That's all I want. You
don't have any fear that the Hummingbird helmet might protect you from the hummingbirds, but they might go right after your tits?
It's a hummingbird. You want to do something to my boobs? Well, maybe I'll like it. Maybe I won't. I'm open-minded. You know what I mean? Don't peck them. They don't peck. If it was an eagle.
Hummingbirds don't peck?
I don't think so.
I think they do.
Really?
Why else would you need a helmet?
Well, because the flower that provides the food to the hummingbirds is right in the center of your helmet so that you could see. So they're literally right neck and neck with your eyes while they're drinking.
Oh, the flower is on the helmet?
Yeah, dude.
I thought this was so they don't like peck at your head.
No, man. It's so that you can get a good bird's eye view of the hummingbird while it's eating. And then it's going to probably love you a lot because they're going to associate your face with getting food. And then they're just going to hang out. And it's going to be like Flick from Pocahontas. Oh my God, fucking love that movie. I know it's problematic, but the soundtrack is so good. Okay. It was one of my childhood favorite movies. John Smith and Cocoam at the same time. That was my first sexual fantasy. You know, a little bit of everything. So all I want is a Hummingbird helmet. So you can send them to my building, KRYSTYNA Hutchinson at the Death Trap building in Queens, okay? They'll know. The mailman will know which one I'm talking about. Also, too, you know it's a bad sign. Every time somebody moves out or in of my building, they all hire the same moving company, Piece of Cake. I've hired them. They're great. They don't sponsor the podcast, but they should. Email Michael Coscarelli at michaelacoscarelli@gmail.com. I love Piece of Cake, but every time they come, I'll be in the elevator with one of them. And one time the guy was like, why do you guys live here? This is a shit show. Everyone's just calling my building a shit show. It's great.
I've told you that off mic too in the past. Remember?
The shit show?
Well, yeah, because remember we said that the building that is in question, they like don't check credit.
Nope.
Because I think they just like.
Thank God, baby.
But like, even when I was looking, because obviously we were neighbors briefly,
yes.
you and I, on the same block for like a month maybe.
That was fun.
Yeah, but when I was looking at your building specifically, it was the first building I looked at. The guy that was showing me the place was like, "Yeah, this place is like famously super sketchy." So that's why, like, I went through the process with them. I was trying to negotiate.
Oh.
And then it didn't happen. I ended up in a place like a block down from where you are.
Yeah.
But I remember, like, and now I hear all these stories from you and Casey and Robbie and whoever, and it all checks out to me. I'm just like, man, I sounds like I avoided a big kerfuffle.
Oh yeah, especially if you have like a fears of being trapped in tiny spaces,
Oh, dude, I
dropping
would've been-
in an
yes.
elevator, getting pried out by firefighters, which is super hot. But when it's in between floors and you got to crawl up the only 8 inches of the top floor that the firefighters are on, you what?
Yeah.
Now that being said, I'm gonna move. I'm gonna move out, and I hopefully this last incident is grounds for terminating my lease. Because I said
For
I
sure.
have connections to the New York City Department of Buildings, and I am willing to use them. And I do not think that anybody can dispute the fact that you have not provided a safe living environment for us. Okay, bitch. Respectfully, disrespectfully, actually. I didn't say bitch, but yeah. So I said I want to get out of my lease. I don't have time for like August, maybe like October, but yeah, I want to get out. That being said, if they were like, "Hey, we're gonna give you free rent for a year," I'd be like, "All right, I'll say, fuck it. 26th floor walk up, great. My ass will be on fire, sick." So yeah, I would live there if they gave me free rent because that's a pretty sick deal. It's a great apartment, but they don't check credit. I saw the units. I said, "This is the one I want." They're like, "Okay, just give us a $2,000 deposit." I'm like, You don't want my social? And they're like, "No." I'm like,
Yeah, I remember
That's a red
they
flag.
didn't. I got approved for an apartment, and then I was trying to negotiate with them on price, and they wouldn't budge at all.
Yeah.
But I remember thinking, like, kind of funny that this was easier than I thought.
Hey, they make it real easy because they trap you in there because
Yeah.
then you get trapped in the elevators.
Yeah.
It's wild. So the front desk guy who I love, and I was like, "Thank you. Your vibe is amazing." And amidst all this bullshittery, to like when you're at the front desk and the bullshittery happens, it's not. You make it a little better. So I appreciate it. He's going to another building in Manhattan. I'm like, God bless you, baby. You deserve to be somewhere better. But tonight's his last shift, and I'm gonna go to the past the desk, and he already has the other job, so he don't need a recommendation from this. I'm gonna go. What other dirt you got for me? Give me it. Give me it. I'm gonna use it. I won't say who said it, but give me the dirt, okay? Because I need all the evidence I can. Because I'm logging all the incidents. Oh, God, I just want a Hummingbird helmet. I think about the Hummingbird helmet too much. I'm so thirsty for a Hummingbird helmet. I saw Inside Out 2. Highly recommend it. Oh, my God. If you haven't seen Inside Out 1, what are you doing? And if it's anything other than sitting on a front porch with my Hummingbird helmet on with my titties out, it's the wrong thing. Go see these movies. Inside Out 1 and Inside Out 2. I've been waiting for Inside Out 2 to come out for a year. I'm like, can you just not tell me until it comes out? So that I hate waiting. I hate waiting, but go see it. It's a beautiful story of how our emotions work with each other and against each other, and what happens when puberty hits, and we want to be accepted by our friends. And it was beautiful. I gotta stop talking about it. I'm gonna cry. Speaking of crying, do you know what time it is, guys? It is time for some fuckboy theater. Okay. All the fuckboys in the world, please move to my building and then get stuck, cause you're gonna get stuck in the elevator and then they're never gonna get you out, cause that's where you belong, cause we don't want you having any kids. That was on key, right? No. All right, guys, thank you for attending today's Fuckboy Theater. We are going to be reading an Instagram DM. This girl sent me a screenshot of a DM from a piece of trash named Ricky, okay? And then she gave me some follow-up about her relationship with Ricky. And we're going to read both of those things, okay? Okay, 1 second. How do I want to channel Ricky? Ricky. Ready? Get ready. Pull over if you're driving. I know we've only met once, but I love the stories you post. Your garden flowers and all your plants. It's awesome. Ovs, you too. You're freaking gorgeous. I do have a serious and I suppose off the cuff question. Have you ever fucked a man with a strap on? I'm asking out of great respect, and sorry if this is rude of me to ask, but I'm genuinely curious, and to be honest, I've wanted to ask you for a while. Have you? Would you? If so, did you enjoy it? And then she says, I met him at a funeral 5 years ago, and we haven't talked since. What? Why? Guys, stop. Stop doing this. There's no way that you could think that's a good move. But it's because you're not thinking about it before you send it. You gotta think before you send it. Okay? And don't do that shit of, would I like if a girl sent this to me? Because it don't work in this sexist ass world, okay? That logic does not pertain to these situations, okay? Ask yourself, would I want this message being sent to a woman in my life that I love, not sexually? Probably not. Probably not. If the answer is yeah, go into the woods. Just sit by a tree and look at it until you fix yourself, okay? Because you got a problem. You got a problem. There's a great, I was listening to a Louise Hay audiobook. I love Louise Hay. She's amazing. Her voice is like the Nana everybody deserves. You know, she's so sweet. She passed away, but she lived like, I think it's in 97. And she got crazy. She experienced sexual abuse as a child. And later in life, her life story is incredible. She's so gentle. She worked a lot in the 80s and 90s with the AIDS epidemic and just helping people kind of emotionally cope with the disease while being bullied by their own fucking government for being gay. Oh, this world is tough. That's why I say congrats on not killing yourself, because people are trash. Not all of them, but the trash ones are louder, and that's a bummer. Anyway, Louise Hay, I think she ended up getting diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer, and she's very spiritual, and this is a tough one, but in the book she talks about, one of her books, where her life story is being told, she talks about having to forgive the man that abused her as a child. I'm like, I don't know if I can do that. That's crazy. But then after she did, she had all these like homeopathic remedies for trying to heal her body for the cancer, but the forgiveness is what, and then she was fine. She lived to be like 97. And that's crazy. But she has lovely books. And she had 2 quotes that I heard as I was deep cleaning my home before I went on my vacation. And one of them is, and this pertains to, I still got to write that email to my parents about getting money out of my house. I was talking to my brother about it, and he's like, yeah, mom's health, she's been in the hospital. And I'm like, okay, well, now I can't do it. You know what I mean? Like, but there's never going to be a good time. But I've been kind of stuck with, how do I want to approach this email? Because I haven't talked to them in 2 years or 3 years. I don't even know. Time's been flying because I've been having fun. But I was like, do I say dear mom and dad? Like I'm not going to call them by their first names because that's, what am I, from Connecticut? But I didn't know how to approach this email, how to write it. But I want to come from a place that is congruent with my morals and values. And those are towards my parents. I want to show love, but I want to show respect for myself and boundaries. Quick, easy. I need this capital out of my own investment that you wouldn't have unless I invested in it. I'm not going to say that part. But this quote, I was like, damn, doggy. I paused the audiobook. I took my headphones out. I'm like, that's exactly the angle that I need to write this email. She said, love is letting go of fear. That's crazy. That's a good one, because I've been approaching this in my head, this email, through a place of fear. Because every time I'll go to type it, I'm like, hey guys, I hope you're doing well. Thanks for all the fucking memories. Like I go angry, and I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. We're going to be respectful and kind, because it doesn't matter if they show us disrespect or unkindness, because guess what? That's your problem. If you're mean to me, that's on you, okay? I am responsible for how I behave. Wish they taught me that in school, but they didn't. I had to figure that out later. Real kerfuffle. So love is letting go of fear is a really great quote that helped me. And then the other one she said is stress is another word for fear. And I was like, that hit me hard, because I used to be this kind of chick who I was like, guys, I'm busy. Don't call me, I'm busy. I'm so busy. And it got to the point where I didn't realize I was doing it. And then people would be like, I know you're busy, but I'm like, what? Why are you scared of me? And it's like, well, look in the mirror, Christina. You know what I mean? You're not really talking nice. And so I was always stressed out because I had so much to do. But really, I was just piling on my plate so I could just have a stress machine going on, a little fucking stress factory in my heart, so that I could continue to live in fight or flight, because that's all I've known. And I'm uncomfortable sitting still and processing my emotions. But, you figure that out in your 30s, and it's pretty cool. Stress is another word for fear. So I was talking to Chris, my esthetician, at Heal with Chris in Brooklyn, Greenpoint. Go see her. She'll wax your butthole. She'll make your face gorgeous. It's a full stop shop. Okay. But we were talking, and I was telling her about, all this stuff, because we're really good friends. And she's so fucking funny. I tell her, I don't say this to most people, but I'm like, you could be a comedian. And I feel good about saying that. Sometimes I've said that, I'm like, I'm going to create a monster by saying this, aren't I? But with her, she could absolutely be a stand-up comedian. She's so funny. And, but I was telling her about this move that I have called the stare, okay? That's when I'm so angry and I know that if I use my words, they're not going to be nice and they're only going to make me angrier because they're going to make whoever I'm talking to real angry. And then I'm going to be like, why are you angry? Because I was just mean. And it's just going to be a shit show. So I do what I call the stare. I'll just give you a look. So a couple weeks ago, I talked about when I was flying to LA, the TSA lady that was really fucking rude and like was pushing me out of the scan thing. And then she was so rude. Instead of saying anything, because at first I was genuinely confused. Because if I was in a bad mood, I'd be like, the fuck you say to me? But because I was like, wait, what? I was in a grounded place. I was like, wait, what's happening? This is weird. This doesn't make sense. And she was so, and then I got real heated pretty quickly. You know, you think you're doing all this work and then something pops up and someone's rude to you in the TSA line and then boom, the monster's out of the cage again. I was thinking in my head all the things I wanted to say and they weren't great and they weren't going to make the situation great. And I had to get on a plane to go to LA for Netflix's A Joke Fest. So I was like, can't miss this flight. So I just stared at her I'm not even kidding. When you collect your things at the end of TSA and you sit on the bench to put your shoes on, I followed her. She went from like a couple scanny thingies over. She was like walking back and forth. I fucking stared at her for 15 minutes. And this was the stare. Hold on. I didn't blink, okay? I didn't blink. And she got so freaked out. She was so freaked out. I think she thought it was a demon. And I was like, good, bitch. Maybe I am. I'm not, but what demon? Your demon sucks. My demon, he's sleeping, okay? Because I've been doing a lot of work on myself. But then I think I told him this story on the podcast a while ago when my boyfriend bought a toilet off Amazon and it didn't fit in his new bathroom. So we had to put it in my Mustang and we had to go to UPS to return it. And getting it downstairs and into a two-door Mustang coupe is very difficult. And thank God there was a guy there, my boyfriend, because I'm not carrying that. And so, but I was helping him and it was just such a pain in the ass and it was sweltering hot when we went to return it. We finally get to the post office. We get the toilet out of the Mustang. We give it to the lady and she's like, this is too heavy for me to ship. And I'm like, what? She goes, go to the post office or whatever one we went to. She said, go to the other one, but it was closed until Monday. So we had to put the toilet back in the car. And then we had to put it back in his apartment upstairs because you can't have just a toilet hanging out in my car. I got to drive. And then Monday comes around and we put the toilet back in the car and then we go to the post office and we get there and the guy says, this is too heavy for us to ship. And I was so fucking mad, but I gave him the stare. And this was a tall, handsome man. He was very tall. He was like 6'5". And he's being fine. I was just angry at the situation, frankly. And I was taking it out on him through my stare, not my words. I looked at him with such a stare that he like got the willies. I could see him go like, ugh. And he was not rude, but he was very firm. At first, he's like, we're not taking this. This is too heavy. This exceeds the weight limit. And I gave him the stare and he goes, I'm really sorry. And that's when I realized the power of the stare. You could disarm a man with that stare. It's maybe like 17 seconds of the stare and he got the willies. That's pretty good. Give him the stare. Don't use your words because words fuck everything up and most times they make things a lot worse, okay? So if you're mad at somebody and you really want to sock it to them, give them the stare. Take all your rage and blast it through your pupils like you're a laser cat and they will feel it and they will think about that stare for a while. That guy probably remembers me to this day. Hopefully not. Okay, so this is another segment. It's one that I've been doing. I'm very excited about aliens and ghosts and magical powers. Oh my, what? What's that, an alien? Oh, it's a balloon? No, it's an alien. Oh my God. So I've been getting a lot of DMs about these stories. Please continue to send me DMs. If you have an experience with seeing a UFO, if you got video, what are you doing? Send me the video and the photo. Please, at KRYSTYNA HUTCH on Instagram. I always check my other inbox because I'm constantly asking you to send me your alien and ghost stories. So I want to see them. But this is not one from a listener. I have a bunch of those. I'll continue to read those next week. They're very powerful. This is one, I was watching a near-death experience interview on YouTube, as I do. There's this podcast called the Jeff Mara podcast, and I forget what the woman's name is, but I'm going to put the link to this video in the description today's episode. So if you drive in, you do any spreadsheets, you're on the treadmill, don't worry, boo, I got you. Just go back and click the link later, okay? You don't got to write it down. It's a link. Who writes a link down, you know? Because it's a complicated one. But he was interviewing this woman, and sometimes when you have a near-death experience like she had, you develop psychic abilities. I'm like, oh, damn. Like, I don't want to die. Like, it sounds like really cool because it seems prolific, but I don't want to die. I don't want to do that. I'd rather just get the psychic powers without having to go through that stuff. But who knows if that's going to happen. Anyway, so a lot of times people will come out of this near-death experience with some type of ability. They're just more sensitive. And this woman had that. So she said she had the ability to talk to angels. And now whatever you think about the word angel, I don't care. It doesn't matter. She communicates through these spirits, spirit guides, whatever word is comfortable for you, okay? And she said, I started getting like messages and I was confused, like, where are these coming from? So I started writing them down about the future and they started fucking happening. So I go, okay, there's something here. Over time, she developed a stronger form of communication with them. So she's able to like get messages quicker. It was really incredible. So she made some predictions and I watched this video 3 weeks ago, okay? She made a prediction that almost already happened, which is crazy. And I'm going to read some of the ones that I find really interesting. And I'm going to put it out on the internet and into the world. And if that shit's true, we got to follow this lady on Instagram, okay? Because she knows a thing or two. So she had a very grounded energy to her. One of the things she said was in the next 2 years, aliens, and she was like, is alien the right word? Like, I want to call them something else. And Jeff was like, I could just call them ETs or aliens. I forget, people are like weirded out by the word alien. Why? It's an alien. It's so exciting. Why wouldn't you be excited about that? If you're not excited about the prospect of aliens, you're thinking about it wrong, okay? Go watch ET. But she said that the aliens are going to come down and make a really big appearance in a way that's going to be undeniable because we all got cameras, we all got the internet, we all have a studio in our pockets. So many people are going to have videos of these. Like, she goes, there's going to be like spaceships hovering for a while in front of major cities. And I'm like, yo, oh my God, I told you bitches. Told you. They're nothing to be afraid of. I would be way more terrified of people. But some other things she said, and she goes, they don't tell me exactly a timeline of when this stuff's going to happen, but she said, this is not something I'm channeling, but based off everything I'm hearing, everything I hear from my clients, because she has clients that have these weird dreams, and then months later, the dreams come true. So she's like, oh, okay. She said probably around 2026, a lot of this is going to happen. But one of the predictions she talked about was, she goes, the country is going to be divided. The United States is going to be separated into, I don't know if it's going to be 2 countries or what, which after going to Europe and seeing how tiny France is and how tiny Belgium is and all those European countries, they could all fit in Texas. They couldn't. I know that's not accurate, but Texas is bigger than most of them. Texas is one state in our country. It's too many people. America is fucking huge. Okay. And there's a lot of people here. So no wonder it's like, we can't get along, you know? But she said that's going to happen. She goes, whoever the candidate is for the next presidential election, whoever gets elected is going to die when they're in, either when they're in office or right before they get into office. And she goes, that's going to cause riots. She goes, there's not going to be a civil war, but there will be riots in the United States, and it will really affect the economy and all this stuff. Because she didn't say if it was an assassination, but when I read about the assassination, I go, oh shit, is that bitch right? Oh my God. So she said that whoever the president's going to be is going to die, I guess, when they get into office or right before. That's going to cause some chaos, which kind of leads me to believe, I mean, I don't want anybody to die, but I got to also say, I watch near-death experience videos every day on YouTube. None of them want to come back here. When they're on the other side, they're like, this is way better. Even if they just got married or they're pregnant with a kid, that's usually why they come back if they have a kid. And they're like, I don't want my kid to grow up without a mom or dad. Obviously, not everybody has that choice, but because some people don't have their parent with them. However, they just say it's the most blissful place in the world. So I'm not saying no one should kill people. Don't kill people. But like, I gotta be honest, I'm not afraid of death. I don't want to die right now. I got a lot of plans, a lot of stuff to do. I want to be a white Oprah, okay? I really want to do that. And that's going to take some time, so don't kill me yet. But yeah, she said presidential candidate is going to pass away. I don't know, assassination, Biden just got COVID. So who knows? And I'm not saying I hope any of them die. But what I am saying is that when you die, you go to a good place. So that's pretty cool. You can at least rest easy knowing that. She said flooding is going to be crazy. She said there is going to be a solar flare. She thinks the solar flare is going to be happening around 2026. And now that's some science shit. That ain't woo-woo shit. Go look up solar flares. They happen. It's when a spot on the sun like flares up and it sends a ton of energy out into all the planets in the solar system of that star. And it's going to affect Earth. And she kept saying, you can be in a basement building when the solar flare happens and you're still going to get, everybody on the planet will be affected by it in a positive way. We're basically going to get like a shot full of good energy. But the people who don't work on themselves and who are greedy and who are fucking mean and racist and sexist and homophobic, they're not going to like this solar flare because it's going to make them kind. And they're going to go, fuck this. So that's going to be exciting. So there's going to be a political reset and an economical reset. And again, I take all this with a grain of salt. If it does end up happening, whoa, that's cool. That lady was actually getting some future messages. And if it doesn't end up happening, well, we're just stuck in the same shit show circus of a place now, aren't we? She goes, if a corporation's reason for operating is to uplift the boats in a rising tide, meaning like they're coming from a place of like kindness and business growth, but also like we're not trying to dick you over like so many corporations are. They're not coming from a place of greed. Those corporations will survive. She said the solar flare is going to bring a lot of catastrophic weather events. She goes, the flooding is going to be very bad. She was like, the coastal cities are going to be underwater. I don't know if she meant like 2 inches of water or like 8 feet of water. I mean, your girl's on the 26th floor, but not for long.
So we're going to have good vibes, but there's going to be flooding.
Yeah. So she said, so yes, and it sounds confusing, but we are in the midst, all of the systems that are corrupt and that are greedy, which is a lot of the systems, I think we can all agree, especially in America, they're going to be extinct. They're going to go extinct. Thank God. God, I hope she's right. In order for that to happen, there needs to be a reset. It's like when you experience the worst breakup of your life and people like, they'll tell me about it. And I'm like, I know this sounds crazy, but I'm actually really happy for you because this feels like chaos and terror and you want to die and you're so, so sad. But what's after this is going to be so fucking magical that you're not going to remember Zach's ass, okay? In like 6 months probably. So it's going to be like that. So shit's going to hit the fan so that we can have this reset. She said cryptocurrency. There will be an agreed upon global currency. She goes, the shipping industries in years' time, this is going to take a while, but it's starting to happen, are going to be completely obsolete. And she said, in order to prepare, start finding ways that you can get what you need in your day-to-day life, like your food, your furniture, whatever shit you buy locally. Because she said the shipping industry is going to tank and it's going to go, and that's affecting the environment, so it's a good thing. Travel will look different. I don't know how. She didn't really elaborate on that, but I'm like, does that mean we could go into alien crafts? Because please, I've been begging for this my whole life. Shipping industry will be catastrophic and dismantled. We'll be getting our goods from local sources. She goes, figure out how you can source your needs locally. There will be an issue with payment processing. So she said, they told me that there's going to be, they said 3 days, but when they say that, it could mean 3 minutes, 3 hours, 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years. But she said 3. There's going to be a period of darkness, but a technological blackout. So we're not going to have access to our credit cards, okay, or any social media. Mike, you want to prepare for that. But
not having social media?
Well, no, just not having any technology. So the cell service is going to be, we're not going to be able to use our phones. And she goes, this is only going to be happening for a period of 3 days, weeks, months, whatever. I'm not sure exactly.
Will the phones work on Wi-Fi?
Nope, there's not going to be any Wi-Fi. Anything electrical is going to be kaput, okay? Kapow, baby. But there will be a technological reset, she said. She goes, the energy that technology was born in is an energy of greed and control, which I think we can all agree is true. And so when we go through this blackout period and we get the technology back, it's going to be coming from a place of connection and kindness and uplifting. And I'm like, this is like a porno for me. This is all I want in the world. This is amazing. So if she is true, if her predictions are true, better days are ahead, y'all. The U.S. will lose their political power by doing things. She talked about, and I didn't look this up, but apparently it's already happened. the U.S. wanted to punish Russia for bombing the shit out of Ukraine. And so what they did was they blocked a payment system. I think it was SWIFT was the payment system, so that people couldn't do commerce with Russia for a period of time. And that made, she goes, that's going to fuck up the United States global power. I don't know what any of that shit means, but like, cute, you know, we need a reset. Current technology is born from a consciousness of control and lack, she said. We'll be able to keep our technology after the reset, but the energy of it will be one of everyone thrives. During the 3 days of darkness, we remember that we're all connected through telepathy. And we will remember that we can communicate with each other through telepathy and we don't need our phone. That's really cool. But also, you gotta start working on yourself now if you haven't yet, because when you say something and that's not what you mean, they're gonna be able to know that. And that's embarrassing. You know, God, I always think like, if people could read my thoughts, I'll move to the woods. What's going on in here? Not great. Yeah, and she said other ways to prep. She goes, prep energetically for this instead of physically, but there are a couple things physically that you can do. And it seems like with that bank shit, like if anything that needed the internet or electricity to function is going to go off, that means no credit cards, no ATM withdrawals. So like, I don't know, get cash and put it in a tin jar. But she said, find a way to get clean water. So, which is so funny because I know there are these people that are on the far right of the political spectrum and they're like, the world's coming to an end. We gotta hoard water bottles. And I'm like, well, you might not be wrong, but it's for like different, like we kind of all agree on the same thing. Our government is shit. We're treated like shit. We feel like shit. We eat shit, and the pills we take are shit because the doctors are shit. They mean well, hopefully some of them do. But so we both are, we're all the sides are in agreement that shit's fucked up, but we think it's fucked up for totally different reasons. But whatever, we could come together on that. That's pretty fucking cool. Because guess what? Guess how a government has control over the people, of the citizens? It's when they're fucking fighting with each other. So we got to stop that. Okay? That's why I'm starting to give people the stare instead of using my words. All right? Because then they can interpret my stare however they want. Okay? But if I use words, that's going to keep the divide going. So I'm really just trying to give back to the planet, you guys. Yeah, have a way to clean your water. There's going to be flooding after an earth rift that'll affect everyone. She says increased flooding will disturb the water supply. Get a filtration system so that doesn't require you to boil water. But she was like, this sounds freaky and scary, but it's not. It's good. It's a good thing. I've heard a couple people, like environmentalists, talk about the earth is basically sick because of all the shit we've done to it. So it's like coughing up. So the floods and the storms and the tornadoes and the hurricanes, it's earth getting the gunk out of its fucking throat that we put in there. Okay? That's my interpretation. Okay. Let me talk about the 6 pillars of self-esteem, guys. If this lady's predictions are correct, we're going to want to have good, healthy self-esteem. Because guess what someone with good, healthy self-esteem doesn't do? They don't fear-monger. They don't fear the other. That is such a stupid-ass lie that we've been sold of, like, fearing the other. And if you look back in history, it's been happening since people started talking to each other. So, it's a long time coming. But, if you have healthy self-esteem, like genuinely healthy, you're not afraid, okay? So if you are somebody who lives in fear or you're like terrified of an event happening, to me, you gotta check that self-esteem, okay? Because no one with healthy self-esteem is gonna act like a twat, truly. You might act like a dumbass, but not a twat. Not a twat, okay? So I'm gonna read some words from chapter 5 of Nathaniel Branden's 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem, the definitive work on self-esteem by the leading pioneer in the field. And there's not going to be a bonus reading on this because the chapter's super short, so I'm not gonna bother with the bonus readings. But there are bonus readings on my Patreon, which is patreon.com/KRYSTYNA HUTCHINSON, of all the chapters I've read so far. And starting next week, I'm going to be covering a pillar of self-esteem per week, and that's going to have bonus readings because those chapters are long as hell. And I'm getting so good at reading out loud, you guys. You don't even know. So it's going to be great. Sign up for that. And you can also, for a fee, I think it's $22 a month, which I know, another subscription, but I do group therapy online over Zoom. And I got to say, I had a group therapy yesterday. It was so, there's a couple people in my Patreon that have been coming like every week for a year. And the growth and the self-actualization that I have witnessed, the blooming that I have witnessed them have is I don't even know. I mean, I do know them because we get intimate. We talk about like what's in the deepest parts of our psyches and talk shit out. but every week they're more grounded, they're more self-actualized, they're more curious, and I'm doing that right along with you. It's such a great place. I'm really proud of the little community I've built on this Patreon. And I will say, if you have somebody if this doesn't seem like something you'd be interested in, that's cool. No skin off my nose. But if you have somebody in your life that you're like, you could really use some group therapy, because it's not therapy, because I'm not a licensed therapist. Sorry. But if you have somebody in your life that you're like, man, you could really use a space to just talk this shit out and be seen and heard and listened to, and just get it off your chest so that you can hear it, tell them to go to my Patreon, patreon.com/KRYSTYNA HUTCHINSON. The audio from every group therapy session is uploaded to the Patreon a couple days after we record. And this last one, it was my favorite one. And I could tell the energy, even though we were all on Zoom, we all felt so good afterwards, because there was a lot of variation of topics being discussed on this one particular Zoom. We go for about an hour, sometimes an hour and a half, if I have the time. And it was just such an array of topics that were really interesting, and people were willing to go real deep immediately with me, which I'm like, thank you, because we can function like this. We don't gotta skip the bullshit. Skip it. So I'm also realizing, Michael, you told me not to be loud, and I'm being really loud. But yeah, fuck it. Peak the audio. So yeah, chapter 5. Chapter 5 is called The Focus on Action. And I'm just going to read some excerpts. A child's life begins in a condition of total dependency. Yeah, I've heard. But an adult's life and well-being, from the attainment of the simplest necessities to the most complex values, depends on the ability to think. Okay? And if your thinking is fucked, I don't want to hang out with you. Consequently, we recognize that childhood experiences that encourage and nurture thinking, self-trust, autonomy are to be valued. We recognize that families in which reality is often denied, whoa, what's that like? I'll tell you. And consciousness often punished, place devastating obstacles to self-esteem. And I'm so glad he used the word devastating, because I'm a dramatic person. And I could stub my toe, and that's devastating to me. And I'm not being hyperbolic. It devastated me, depending on the day. You know what I mean? Sometimes I stub my toe and I laugh. Sometimes I'm devastated. So it is devastating when you don't grow up in an environment that nurtures your spirit. They create a nightmare world in which the child may feel that thinking is not only futile, but dangerous. And that's why I didn't know who I was until I was 32. Cute, thanks. In Ayn Rand's definition, life is a process of self-generated and self-sustaining action. The organs and systems within our body support our existence by continuous action. We pursue and maintain our values in the world through action. As I discuss in some detail in The Psychology of Self-Esteem, it is in the very nature of a value that it is the object of an action, okay? Don't talk about it, be about it, motherfucker, okay? And this includes the value of self-esteem. If a child grows up in an appropriately nurturing home environment, the likelihood is increased that he or she will learn the actions that support self-esteem, although there is no guarantee. If a child is exposed to the right kind of teachers, the likelihood is increased that self-esteem supporting behaviors will be learned. If a person experiences successful psychotherapy in which irrational fears are dissolved and blocks to effective functioning are removed, sign me up for that, a consequence is that he or she will manifest more of the kind of actions that support self-esteem. But it is a person's actions that are decisive. What determines the level of self-esteem is what the individual does within the context of his or her knowledge and values. And since action in the world is a reflection of action within the mind of the individual, it is the internal process that is crucial. Let's see, I'm gonna skip around. This section is called Parenting and Its Limits. Research suggests that one of the best ways to have good self-esteem is to have parents who have good self-esteem and who model it. Well, we're all fucked, huh? As is made clear in Stanley Cooper Smith's The Antecedents of Self-Esteem. In addition, if we have parents who raise us with love and respect, respect for your kid? Wild. Who allow us to experience consistent and benevolent acceptance. What's that like? Who give us the supporting structure of reasonable rules and appropriate expectations. Who do not assail us with contradictions. Who do not resort to ridicule, humiliation, or physical abuse as a means of controlling us, who project that they believe in our competence and goodness. That part. To have a parent that believes in your goodness. That's the rub of what fucks me up. Because I'm like, why do you think I'm the worst person, mom and dad? Like, what the fuck? And that's the part that like hurts my inner child the most. Is like, you don't think I'm good, but I know I am. And I had to learn that the hard way because I wasn't raised by people that thought I was good. And look, I know I chose to be raised by you before I got here. That's fine. But come on. We have a decent chance of internalizing their attitudes and thereby of acquiring the foundation for healthy self-esteem. But no research study has ever found this result to be inevitable. Cooper Smith's study, for one, clearly shows that it is not. There are people who appear to have been raised superbly by the standards indicated above and yet are insecure, self-doubting adults. Yeah, that's true. But man, most of the people I know that had good parents are pretty fucking functional and they like themselves. And I'm like, that's wild. That's wild. What? And there are people who have emerged from appalling backgrounds, raised by adults who did everything wrong, and yet they do well in school, that wasn't me, form stable and satisfying relationships. What lotto did you play? Have a powerful sense of their value and dignity, and as adults, satisfy any rational criterion of good self-esteem. As children, these individuals seem to know how to extract nourishment from an environment that others find hopelessly barren. They find water where others only see a desert. Ugh! Hit me with the poetry. Hit me with it. Baffled psychologists and psychiatrists sometimes describe this group as the invulnerables. Nonetheless, it is safe to say that if one lives in a sane human environment, don't go outside, in which reality is respected and people's behavior is congruent, it is far easier to persevere in efforts to be rational and productive than if the signals are always switching, nothing seems real, facts are denied, and consciousness is penalized. Families that create such destructive environments are described as dysfunctional. Might have heard of that word before. Just as there are dysfunctional families, there are dysfunctional schools and dysfunctional organizations. And I'm going to add dysfunctional government, which is an organization, but just, they are dysfunctional because they place obstacles in the path of the appropriate exercise of mind. Damn it, Nathaniel. Jesus Christ. Inner blocks. With an individual's psyche itself, there may be an obstruction to thinking. Subconscious defenses and blocks may make us oblivious even to the need to think about a particular issue. Consciousness is a continuum. It exists on many levels. An unresolved problem at one level may subvert operations at another. And I would say, yeah, I agree. For example, if I block my feelings about my parents, if I cut off access to those feelings through denial, disowning, and repression, and then try to think about my relationship with my boss, I may have disconnected myself from so much pertinent material that I can easily become muddled and discouraged and give up. And that's why I self-sabotage, baby. Or if I block major negative feelings about some assignment my manager has given me and find that my interactions with my team are persistently and mysteriously abrasive. That's a good name for an improv troupe. I may experience great difficulty in thinking how to resolve the abrasiveness as long as I remain unconscious of the deeper source of the disturbance. And that, ladies and germs, is projecting, okay? And so many people project. I'm sure you've all had an experience where a person is yelling at you, but in your head you're going, you're yelling at me for the shit you're doing. What the fuck kind of upside down ass world is this? I don't want to, and then you can't talk to them because they're so gung-ho on you're doing it because they gotta look inside. But everyone wants to look outside because there's like titties and dogs outside and great things to look at. But no, you gotta look inside, bitch. That's how we're gonna survive these solar flares, okay, if they happen. I may experience great difficulty in thinking how to resolve the abrasiveness as long as I remain unconscious of the deeper source of the disturbance. Repeat it again for the people in the back. Even so, my self-esteem will be affected by whether I try to bring consciousness to my problem. And that's how you solve the problems. You try to bring consciousness to them. And then I just want to read this last section before we go into the 6 pillars of self-esteem. This is what they are. The practice of living consciously, that's the first one. We're going to go over that next week. The practice of self-acceptance, the practice of self-responsibility. Ooh, spooky. Are we in a haunted house? No, it's just Earth. The practice of self-assertiveness, that's even spookier if you're me. The practice of living purposefully. and the practice of personal integrity. In the next 6 chapters, we shall examine each of them in turn. Guys, oops, that's not the one I meant to say. Thank you so much for coming to my show. I really appreciate it. This has been the Voices in Our Heads. Sign up for my Patreon. If you are in New York City, Thursday, July 25th, 7 p.m. at Zinc Bar. That is the next HOOCH. It's a stand-up comedy show that I co-host with Haley Dersher. We are still in the middle of booking it, but guess what 2 comics we do have? Dave Attell and Bonnie McFarlane, 2 of the most brilliant minds in the stand-up comedy scene. So I'm really excited. The lineup's going to be crazy. And I've made a rule for myself with HOOCH specifically that all the material I do is going to be new stuff, like new ideas, but it's going to be like good because, been doing stand-up comedy for over a decade, so I'm not going to bomb. But yeah, it's a really exciting little challenge that I'm making for that show, and I love it because the first show went so well. It was sold out. Hell yeah. I think we got buy your tickets. The link for the tickets is in my Instagram bio, at KRYSTYNA Hutch. DM me your ghost photos and videos. DM me your alien videos. And congrats on not killing yourself, guys. Have a good day. Talk to you next week.